we go. Good morning, and welcome to the First Universalist Church of Yarmouth. My name is Ann Turner. I'm a member of the Worship Council and the choir. Welcome to this Music Sunday. I am happy to be greeting you this morning from our beautiful sanctuary and can't wait to see all of you here in person someday. At First Universalist, our mission is to explore our faith, embrace this community, and engage the world as spiritual seekers. May we take those words to heart. As we gather today, we acknowledge that our church and many of our homes are built on the ancestral land of the Wabanaki. We acknowledge the continued displacement and oppression of Indigenous people in Maine and across the country. And we stand in support of their commitments to survival, sovereignty, identity, and the protection of the world. Following the service, you're invited to click on the Zoom link that's in your Sunday morning news and join us for coffee hour and social time together. As we now begin our service, I invite you all to take a deep breath with me and settle into this sacred time and space. Reverend Hillary will now lead us into our worship.
Thank you, Anne. Good morning, everyone, on this warm and hazy morning. How are you? My name is Hillary Collins-Gilpatrick. I'm the minister of First Universalist Church in Yarmouth, and it's with great joy that I say, whoever you are, wherever you are from, whomever you love, whatever you've done, whether you are a music lover, a music player, a music listener, or the sound of silence is music to your ears, you are welcome here. And we're so glad you're here. Friends, today we offer a special service for you led by our music director, Sam Chandler. Not only will Sam be playing the hymns and melodies that enrich our service this morning, he'll also share a homily with us on the power, dare we say, the divinity of music. Thank you, Sam. Sam is joined in the sanctuary this morning by Anne and Sarah, two members of the choir, and by Pete, our trusty buildings and grounds jack of all trades and member of our tech crew. And I'll note that Sam, Anne, Sarah, and Pete are all fully vaccinated and taking precautions in our church building this morning. As I am currently in between jabs at the moment, I am still zooming in to our virtual sacred space from my home. Kai, the second distinguished member of our tech crew, is also running our service remotely today. What a gift though, right? That we can all still be together no matter what this morning, to listen to the divine music, the words, the poetry of this melodious worship service. Thank you, Pete, Kai, Anne, and Sarah, for helping to create it with Sam and me. And with that, I now turn to Sarah Coffin-Whitty, who will offer our opening words of invocation and light our chalice this morning. Thanks, Sarah.
We're called to worship by the opening words from a poem by James Weldon Johnson, a writer and organizer for the NAACP in the late 19th century. He authored many poetry collections and will always be remembered for writing the song, "Lift Every Voice and Sing." The poem we read by Johnson today is entitled, "The Gift to Sing." Sometimes the mist overhangs my path, and blackening clouds about me cling. But oh, I have a magic way to turn the gloom to cheerful day. I softly sing. And if the way grows darker still, shadowed by sorrow's somber wing, with glad defiance in my throat, I pierce the darkness with a note and sing and sing. And I brood not over the broken past, nor dread whatever time may bring. No nights are dark, no days are long, while in my heart there swells a song, and I can sing. And now we'll light our chalice, symbol of Unitarian Universalist faith and fellowship. So please join me in our chalice lighting words. We light our chalice in peace and friendship. And our opening hymn is number 29, Joyful, Joyful.
Joyful, joyful, we adore thee, God of glory, God of love. Hearts unfolding like flower before thee, hail thee as the sun above. Melt the clouds of sin and sadness, drive the pain of doubt away. Giver of immortal gladness, fill us with the joy of day. All thy works with joy surround thee, earth and heaven reflect the rays. Stars and planets sing around thee, center of unbroken praise. Field and forest, vale and mountain, blossoming meadow, flashing sea, chanting bird and flowing mountain, call us to rejoice in thee. Thou art giving and forgiving, ever blessing, ever blessed, wellspring of the joy of living, ocean depth of happy rest. Ever singing, march we onward, victors in the midst of strife. Joyful music lifts us sunward in the triumph song of life.
Thank you, Sam. Friends, we now come to the time in our service that we set aside for silent prayer and meditation. This is a time to offer a prayer for those in need of a prayer. Reflect on the events of the past week, look forward to what might come in the days ahead, or simply be here now, in this moment, and all that it offers us in sensation and emotion. If you're listening while working on a project this morning, or eating, drinking, or moving around, I invite you during this time to set down what's in your hands and let yourself quiet down for a moment. Henry David Thoreau described music as the sound of the circulation in nature's veins. And so with that, my friends, take this time to rest and be still and listen to the music of nature that plays around you. Please join me now in taking a deep breath in, exhaling out, and joining me for a sacred time of quiet. for all that can be shared, for all we hold inside, for all that we simply do not have the words to express. We hear you, we hold you, and we wish you immediate comfort, continued joy, a path forward, and the seeds of peace. Amen.
Hi everyone, it's my pleasure to join you here and to speak a homily. So my first CD, do you remember CDs? Was the album In Sync by the band In Sync. I was 11 years old at the time when my oldest brother, a true connoisseur of punk and metal, bought it for me because, well, they were my favorite band. While music had played a role in my life in various ways when I was a small child, it had stopped for several years prior to receiving this gift. My brother didn't like the band, but at 16 years old had developed the philosophy that there was no such thing as bad taste in music. I mean, sure, he knew the music he listened to was better, but that didn't devalue the importance of individual experience. My cat's favorite music is the sound of birds chirping, and while that's a song I do enjoy, I have to say I prefer Beethoven or perhaps Kendrick Lamar. Still, I can't discount my cat's experience, nor be upset with him for not taking an interest in Beethoven's late piano sonatas. Shortly after the In Sync CD, I got my hands on a Savage Garden CD, another sappy pop album from the late 20th century. This album was important to me. I would sit and listen at whatever volume I could get out of the speakers without causing too much distortion, and I would often cry or just curl up and feel. 11 years old was a very emotional time for me. I had recently renounced God, the Christian one, the one who watches over you and cares whether you are good or bad, or is that Santa? Whatever it was, I decided that there can't be a benevolent God, not when your grandparents die of cancer, or when your uncle commits suicide. I was struggling. 15 years later, I was diagnosed with persistent depression. Between those years, my preteen years, teen years, and young adult years, I leaned further and further into music. At 12, I started learning the bass. At 13, I began composing. At 15, I learned the piano. And at 18, entered the jazz program at the University of Southern Maine. After I began playing piano, I realized how many important roles it played in my life. Music was intellectual stimulation, emotional regulation, dissociation, experimentation, and finally it became my religion, a spiritual practice that I engaged in every day for the betterment of myself. If my music happened to make other people happy or get some decent paying gigs, well, that was merely a side benefit. I thought, maybe I'll be a rock star, but not a big deal if not. I suppose I had found my benevolent God. Did you know that when the universe was created, or rather when the Big Bang occurred, it released massive sound waves into the empty void of space? These sound waves made up the 5 notes of the pentatonic scale. Did you know that music predates language and is at least as old as art? Ancient Greek philosophers studied music alongside physics and math to try to uncover the secrets of the universe. Okay, yeah, you get it. I like music and think it's the greatest thing on earth since and before sliced bread. But you may be thinking, what if music isn't my thing? I mean, I like it, but not so much I want to dedicate my life to it. Music is that important to me that I can dedicate my life to it, but not so important that it could be the only thing in my life. At my busiest professionally as a performer, I find myself most unable to appreciate and enjoy the functions of music that drew me to it initially. Simple passive enjoyment and emotional regulation get replaced by diligent rehearsal. Sometimes I simply want my brain to be quiet, for the music to take a break. These are the times when I reevaluate, do I really need to play jazz gigs twice a week for pocket change? I set out to build skills to become a teacher or social worker so that I could have a work passion separate from my quote-unquote religion. Most of my 20s were spent with dueling focuses, and this dueling focus allowed me to maintain my passion. I think this model can apply to lots of different passions and focuses. The most important things in one's life should be cultivated carefully. I sometimes imagine what would happen if I had fully burned out on music and what I would be left with. As mentioned before, I struggle with depression. How would I cope without music, without my daily spiritual practice of playing jazz standards and doing improvisations? I guess this isn't a question I really want to know the answer of. I want you to take a moment right now and identify what it is you could call your passion. Is it your family, knitting, nature? Is it part of your job, computer programming, teaching, caregiving? Can you find an hour or two today to cultivate that passion, purely for your own self-fulfillment? Or do you need to spend an hour on another hobby to rest and recoup? It might be smart so you can return to your work passion tomorrow with a fresh and relaxed mind. I used the word cultivate already, but I'd like to sit on that word for a moment. Cultivate your passion. I once got a haircut from a local singer-songwriter who told me he planned on peaking in his 50s. I was taken aback, but fully and entirely related to what he said. Why try to burn bright in your 20s only to burn out in your 30s? I hope to peak in my 50s, 60s, or whenever, to allow all the skills, the emotions, the religion that I've cultivated to culminate late in life, allowing me to sit and welcome the joy that comes from my daily practice between now and then. I hope this has given you something to think about for how to practice your passion, and if you aren't sure what your passion is, have you tried studying music? Go in peace.
In honor of our seventh principle, this week's offering is inspired by our recent 3D offering, Come Hell or High Water, the Battle for Turkey Creek, led by Derek Evans, an advocate for environmental justice. Turkey Creek, a tiny village on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, stands up to powerful corporate interests in their struggle for self-determination and environmental justice, while still recovering from Hurricane Katrina and the BP oil disaster. Over time, they are securing their future by placement on the National Register of Historic Places. Derek has asked for us to send our Turkey Creek support for this work to his Turkey Creek Church, Mount Pleasant United Methodist Church. Today, you're invited to make your offering using the Donate button in the order of worship. By clicking this link, you will be taken to Give Butter, a virtual giving site that accepts a card number, PayPal, and Venmo accounts. You may also give your offering by dropping a check in the mail or using your bank's free online bill pay feature. For Turkey Creek, this morning's offering has now been requested and will be gratefully received. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sam. That was gorgeous. Our reading for today is by the celebrated award-winning justice-seeking poet and teacher Lucille Clifton. It is entitled Roots. Call it our craziness, even call it anything. It is the life thing in us that will not let us die. Even in death's hand, we fold the fingers up and call them greens and grow on them. We hum them and make music. Call it our wildness, then. We are lost from the field of flowers. We become a field of flowers. Call it our craziness, our wildness. Call it our roots. It is the light in us. It is the light of us. It is the light. Call it whatever you have to. Call it anything. Our closing hymn is Go Lift It Up, number 1057.
Go lift it up, love bless your way. Moonlight, starlight, guide your journey into peace.
Before we say our Unison Benediction together, we close with these words by the Dalai Lama. Among the many forms in which human spirit has tried to express its innermost yearnings and perceptions, music is perhaps the most universal. It symbolizes the yearning for harmony with oneself and others, with nature and the spiritual and the sacred within us and around us. There is something in music that transcends and unites. This is evident in the sacred music of every community, music that expresses the universal yearning that is shared by people all over the globe. Our service has ended for today. Thank you all for sharing this time with us. Won't you join me now in saying our Unison Benediction together? For those who come here seeking God, may God go with you. For those who come embracing life, may life return your affection. And for those who come to seek a path, may a way be found and the courage to take it step by step.